What's up? So, if you feel that you should be further ahead within your business, you should be making more money, you should be creating more impact, you should have more reach, more recognition within your industry, but it's not happening. Even though you're doing all of the right things, you're showing up every single day, this might be why, and this is what's actually going to solve it for you. Now, my job in this video is to give you the key. Your job is to watch this video, take the key, put it in the door, turn it, and implement it. Cool? I cannot do the work for you at the end of the day. So watch this, understand it, because this is going to change every facet of your life, but then go and take it and implement. Cool? Let me move my face, and then we're going to get the ball rolling. Now, what you see in front of you right now is a mental framework. I learned it from a mentor of mine that sold his business for $500 million. So you have a thing or two to learn within this mental framework. But once you understand this, relationships, easy peasy. Business, easy peasy. Fitness, easy peasy. You're going to become the person who can achieve the success in every area of your life. You're going to become a top 1 percentile. Cool? So, for you who don't know, and if you don't know, well, now you know. I was a D1 football player. Now, why is that important to know? I was at the top 1% or 1 percentile, I would say, of the entire world. I was a D1 football player. Not a lot of people can say that. And you, if you want to get to 7 figures or even 6 figures or even 8 figures within your business, you are looking to become a top 1 percentile of your industry, of your niche. You are looking to play at the bigger leagues, at the higher games. And if you are looking to play at the bigger leagues and the higher games, you need to understand this mental framework, or you would sabotage yourself, just like pretty much 99.999% of people are doing. Now, when I started playing as a D1 football player, I started somewhere. And honestly, I started as a 120 kilograms. So I was a chubby little kid. I was very overweight. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't do anything. And honestly, this is a lot of us. This is where we start. A lot of us, we start even in business in stages where we don't have things figured out. We don't know how to post. And maybe we have a messy mindset. We all start somewhere. We all start in a place of, I like to call it the messy place, the place of non-existence. So I started at 120 kilograms. Cool. And in the beginning, I had to learn the basics. So within the beginner level that you can see over here, I had to learn the basics. I had to learn, which is the blue level if you want to look at it. I had to learn how to first lose some weight, obviously. I also had to learn how to handle the ball, how to understand how players are moving, to get at least comfortable in my own skin on the pitch and in the arena so I could perform. And once I learned those skills, I had to implement. So we used to have 3 games every single week, and we also used to have daily practice. I implemented religiously. And when I learned and when I implemented, I mastered this level. I became a master at this level. I remember very I had one of the strongest kicks on the entire team, because all that I did every single day was I took the ball. Even sometimes I used to take the ball and stand in front of the wall and just shoot the ball, shoot the ball, shoot the ball, shoot the ball. So you learn a skill, you implement the skill, you master the skill to a certain extent. And this is something that we can take into business too. In business, you learn, for example, how to create content. So you start creating content at the beginner level. We're still not at an amateur or expert level. We're still at the beginner level. We learn how to create content. Someone tells us to do this or someone tells us to do that. And what do? We take this thing that we have learned and we start putting in the work, and we get to it. We understand it. It now starts to make sense to us. Now here's the problem, fundamentally. What we don't realize is the same thing that I didn't realize back then is I'm really good at what I do. But I'm good compared to who? I am good compared to beginners. I am a master compared to beginners. I am good compared to my friends, the people that I used to play with in the academy. That's who I am good compared to. But taking a look at the bigger scheme of things, if you wanted to compare me with, let's say, national football players and national team members, I wasn't even existent. I couldn't even look at them or compete with them. It's the same thing within business. It's the same thing with everything that you do in life. You think that you have gotten good at the thing because you're comparing yourself to the wrong people. You're comparing yourself to the people who are not doing anything, the people who are at the beginner level. But if you look at the bigger scheme of things, if you look at the higher level people, you cannot even compare yourself to them. So here's what happened. I had to get honest with myself. Let me remove all of those because there's just too much going on the screen. And I had to level up. And here's the problem when you level up. When you level up, you go back to the blue level. When you level up, you go back to the beginner stage. You go back to the learning stage. You go back to the stage where you went from a master at something that you do to now a beginner. What I had to level up when I was a D1 football player, or even back then I wasn't, is I went from the master of the shots, the master of my world, to now I was playing with bigger people, with a better academy, and now I had to master or learn different skills, like reading the pitch, knowing how people are moving, knowing how people are positioning themselves so I could read the game better. I had to master that. I had to master my stamina because I needed to conserve energy throughout the entire game. I needed to learn all of those things. And when I learned all of those things, I had to implement religiously. And when I implemented religiously, I mastered them. But still, I am at an amateur level. So this, I see it in content and I see it in business. Some of my clients come to me and they're like, Arnold, we're making $2,000, $3,000, maybe $5,000 a month. And as they're making this amount of money, they tell me like, Arnold, we've been posting, we've been showing up consistently. I had one client which I recently shot a case study with him. His name is Chris. You could watch it down below or somewhere on my channel. And Chris, man, when he came to me, he has been doing business for 3 years. He has been trying to grow his business for 3 years. He has done content, he has done podcasts, he has done multiple different things. And when he came to me, I asked him, do you understand how to trigger psychological triggers within your audience in your content? And he's like, I asked him, what is your content strategy? He said, like, I get an idea and I post. I asked him, or even that specific thing, I didn't ask him, but I saw it in him. I told him, what is your offer strategy? So how many times does he post offer? What are the offer frequencies? And he looked at me and he was like, offer frequencies? So, by the way, love you, Chris. I'm not bashing you in any way, shape, or form. This is something that we worked on over a period of time to have this set. But to him, where he was at, he was getting people interested in him a little bit. He was getting hits. He was getting some clients in, but nothing consistently. Because at his level, he mastered the beginner level. But he didn't move to the higher level. He didn't move to the amateur level or to the expert level even. And what happened is we worked over time in order to create his content cadence, to understand the psychological triggers, to trigger within people within his content. We built up his YouTube channel to now he's at a level where he is able to sign $3,000 packages without sales calls. He gets people coming to him from his content and from his offer. He launched an offer and he sold 19 people. 19 packages sold of a new offer within 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks. Anyway, that's besides the point. The point is, you need to develop. And as you grow from level to level, you go back to the basics. You go back to learning the fundamentals. You go back to from a master to a student. And most people don't do that. Because in this level of transition, there's a lot of fear. And at this level of transition, you are the most vulnerable. Because usually the transition from a beginner to an amateur or from an amateur to an expert, this transition requires sacrifice. It requires you to change your identity. It requires to change your beliefs. It requires you to put yourself out there. I am right now at a transition level where in my business, we make an average of 20 to 30K a month. Cool. And right now I want to take this to a consistent 50K. And I realized that for me to take this from 20 to 30K to $50,000, the thing that I need to transition into is becoming a more serious person on YouTube and showing up consistently on YouTube. And I had some fears when I thought about that. The first fear is, what? I need to show up every single day on YouTube. Can I do it? Do I have the time to do it? I have a business to run. So more responsibilities, more fears. Sometimes you might start to think to yourself, what would people think about me? A lot of times also the fear comes up because you need to invest money. I had to invest money in a better equipment, in a better camera. Go back to my old videos and look at those videos right now. Completely different direction. So the transition from one level to another holds a lot of fear. And while you are afraid, you are very vulnerable. And here's what happens. Because you're afraid and you're vulnerable and you want to stay at a low difficulty level, you jump and you change. Someone comes in and he's like, you're finding it hard to make content that gets clients. Let me show you another strategy that doesn't require you to make content. So you jump into another strategy, let's say a podcast strategy. And then, again, you go back, you learn, you implement, you master, but then you also find it hard because you reach another transition level where you need to level up. And then another person comes in and he's like, hey, wait. So you've been doing content and podcasts, but man, you haven't tried this ad strategy. It's much easier. So you go in and you change into an ad strategy. And without realizing, all that you're doing over here is that you are still a beginner. Every time you change a strategy, you jump from a strategy to another, you are a beginner. You go back to zero, you go back to the beginner status. Because there's nothing in this world that's gonna shortcut your way from jumping from level 1 to 2 and from level 2 to 3. There's nothing in the world that's gonna shortcut the work that needs to happen, that's gonna shortcut the consistency that needs to happen, that the mastery level that needs to happen. Like, something that I love to see is when I first start working with people and I ask them, one of the very basic questions that I ask them is, what is the intention behind your posts? Every single person is like, intention? What intention? And what I love about working with them over the months, let's say after 2 months, I ask them, what is the intention behind your post? And they're like, this post, I want to trigger them to see that my offer is faster than everything else they've seen in the past. So now they learn intention. They went from the basics of just posting to now an amateur at posting. You can trigger intentions. There's nothing in this world that can shortcut the level up. There's nothing in this world that can shortcut your path. And here's the problem. And here's where most of us fall. Someone, and this is why I have a big grudge against a lot of people in the market, even though I shouldn't to a certain extent, but it is what it is. Yeah, I have a big grudge, I would say, to a lot of people because I've seen families fall apart because of some very bad advice from higher level people. Is that someone at the top 1% of the industry reaches a level of mastery. They have reached a level of expertise. Right now, they are experts. And as an expert, what happens is that you really don't have to do much. Like right now, for example, for me, I would say that I'm an expert at offers and content, fundamentally. Like very few people understand psychology of content and offers better than me in the industry. I could come up with an offer within 30 minutes. Sometimes my clients send me an offer on Telegram. I look at it, I send them a voice note fixing it. Some people take months to fix it. To me, it takes me a 5-minute voice note. I am an expert at offers. It's easy for me. Now, what happens is when it's easy for some people to do something, they tell the beginners, hey, no, if it's hard for you, it should be easy. Let me teach you how it should be easy. Let me teach you how to build a business with 2 hours a day. Let me teach you how to build a business by sending 1 email a day. And most beginners, because you're at a very vulnerable spot over here, or most amateurs, because they're at a very vulnerable spot over here, they're like, easy, better, faster. What am I gonna do? You take it and you change and you implement it, and then it doesn't work for you. Why? Because you haven't reached an expertise level. And then you see testimonials and case study of people who implemented those strategies and it worked for them. And then you ask yourself, why did it work for them and it didn't work for me? It worked for them because they have went through level 1, they have went through level 2, they have went through level 3. And all that they were missing is a small tweak to their game, and it worked for them. And this is not your fault. This is the fault of the people who are teaching those things, because most programs do not meet the client where they're at. They expect the client to come in at different levels and get results in the different strategies. Oof. Sorry, I got irritated a little bit about those topics, but I've seen some very bad things. Like, I have my friend recently who needs to go and he's gonna have a kid, but he can't go and see his kid because for 4 years he's been implementing random strategies from expert that hasn't been working for him. Anyway, this is the mental framework. This is the mental model. It's the same thing in fitness. It's the same thing in business. I'm gonna give you an example of fitness. You are right now at 30% body fat. You wanna get to 8% body fat. You want to get shredded. Awesome. The first thing that you need to do is start to take a look and improve the choices of food that you make. And the second thing is you have to start getting more steps in. So 1, improve the choice of food. And you have to get steps in. Right? Awesome. You start losing weight. But what happens over here is that you're going to plateau at, I would say, 20% body fat. At this level, you will need to learn how to count your macros. You need to learn how to count your macros, how to count your calories, your calorie intake, how much protein, fat, carbs you're getting in. Once you learn that and you implement it, now you get to, let's say, a 12% body fat. Amazing. Now you're at an amazing shape. But even when you get at the 12% body fat, over here you need to learn how to cycle carbs, let's say. So carb cycling. You need to learn how to, this is actually not learn, you need to implement more. You need to implement better training regimes. So your training should hit in specific ways, hypertrophy. Anyway, I'm not a fitness coach, so I'm not going to do that right now. But you get the point. So at every level, you have to unlock and learn new thing, and you have to unlock, learn, and master a new thing. And this is how you win in life. This is fitness. This is business. This is every single thing in your life that you want to win and that you want to become a top 1% at. This is how you do it. First, identify the level that you want to reach. Second, identify where you're at right now and start taking it step by step. And the best way to do it is learn from people who are one step ahead of you. You would be I'm not going to say it, but if you want to learn how to make 10K per month and you're listening to someone who has made 200K per month, my friend, he is extremely disconnected from where you're at. He is extremely disconnected from where you're at. In his mind, he's going to tell you, oh yeah, like run ads, build a funnel, I don't know, post five pieces of content per day, hire a marketing manager. Where the reality is, what you should nail down is your messaging and your offer. And that's it. So if you're at the beginner level, listen to someone who's a couple of steps ahead of you. So you want to make 10K per month, listen to someone who is making 20 to 30K to even 50K per month. That's a healthy place to listen to. The person who is making 20 to 30 to 40K per month should listen to the person who is making $100,000 to $200,000 per month. Because there's one step between them. Not 3, not 5, not 10 steps between them. If you are someone who is extremely overweight and you want to start losing weight, you could go to a IFBB pro bodybuilding competitor to teach you how to lose weight. But most probably you cannot keep up with what he's going to give you, because from the beginning he's going to tell you count your calories, salt intake, supplement stack, 20,000 steps, 6 workouts per week, and you're like, wait. I'm obese, I just want to start losing weight. So the best thing is for you to hire someone who's a couple of steps over you. And then move on, and then move on. And this is the mental framework that you need to understand. This is the mental framework that you need to understand. And this is why a lot of people sabotage themselves and they do not get the results that they want. Because every time they're at the friction point of fear and vulnerability, they drop back down. They're like, oh no, I'm not going to move to step number 2, because step number 2 is I'm a beginner again. I'm learning again. I'm going back to 0 again. I don't want that. So I'm going to stay at my level. I'm going to stay comfortable. And each level requires sacrifice. Each level requires a version of you that you have not given it yet. Each level requires a level of you that is going to push you to another level. And each level requires a different coach, a different mentor, a different guide, a different eyeballs on your work and on your world. Different rooms to be in. Like right now, for example, within the leader circle, which is my kind of boardroom of people, we have people who are making 6 figures. And we have people who are aspiring to make 6 figures. We don't have people who are making 7 and 8 figures. Because my friend, you cannot resonate with them. You cannot connect with those people. And this is why some people just go very quickly in life. They grow extremely quickly in life, and others just don't. It's because if you want to move quickly, you cannot skip levels. The moment you skip levels, you fall back to 0. There's a reason why someone who has been in the game for 2 years, like for example, I built my business from just an idea in a third world country to now internationally coaching people and making 20 to 30K per month. Okay? And I could not skip levels. I had to go from 0 to making my first 4 to 5K. I had to go from making my first 4 to 5K to the first 20K. I had to learn how to stabilize at 20K before moving into the second thing. You cannot skip levels. The moment you skip levels, you fall back down to beginner status. You fall back down to the start. And then you have to build back up, and then you have to build back up, and then you have to build back up. And every time you're building back up, you're like, why is someone running past me while I'm still building back up? It's because, my friend, you're changing too much and you're avoiding the fear and the discomfort and the vulnerability that comes while you're at this precipice of growth. Cool? Take this key, implement it. Bye-bye.